I've heard a lot of misconceptions about what it takes and how to grow an SEO business. And so many people believe these myths, believe these misconceptions, that what I wanted to do in this video was take the 5 most common ones that I hear all the time and break them down and show you, explain to you why they're just not true at all. And I want to tell you that most of the advice that's out there on starting your own SEO agency, or indeed more broadly on making money online, most of that advice on getting started is a trap. The people who are giving that advice, their goal is to get you to a point where you are dreaming about it, where you are imagining what your life could be like with a successful digital marketing agency. The real goal, their real goal, is to get you to buy something from them, but they're not necessarily trying to actually make you successful at escaping that rat race, at escaping that 9 to 5 and gaining that financial freedom that you're after. What so many of the people that I've worked with before, they start building an SEO agency by diving into the books, by learning everything they can learn about SEO. And this is advice that I've seen given over and over again. Hey, if you want a digital marketing agency, if you want an SEO agency, come here and buy my training, buy my course, and then you'll be able to do it. But what they're glossing over is that the most challenging part of building a successful SEO agency or online marketing agency is landing clients. It's not learning how to do fulfillment. A lot of the business owners that you're going to be working with, a lot of your future clients, they could easily manage to do their own marketing, their own digital marketing. But it is a skill set, and the more you practice at it, the better you get. And a lot of these business owners, they're focused on running their business, as they should be, and not so much on how to set up the perfect SEO engagement, how to rank their websites higher. They don't have time to keep up with Google algorithm updates and all these other things that are going on. But for you, for you to get out of the rat race, out of your 9 to 5, hopefully you have a full-time job that is paying the bills. Taking the time to learn how to do SEO right now before you have a client is taking time away from actually building your agency. So I want to tell you, put those books away, okay? Instead, think about start prospecting. That's where I want your head to be. Prospecting can be uncomfortable, okay? A lot of people don't feel comfortable prospecting, asking other people, asking business owners to be their clients. So instead, they get distracted. They do things that feel like work, but are actually a waste of time. These are things like, getting stuck by trying to choose the absolute perfect agency name, or design the absolutely perfect logo, or build the perfect website, or indeed become an expert in SEO. This is getting stuck in the early stage, spending too much time on things that really just don't matter. Now, there is a time, maybe you're $10,000, $20,000 a month, where having a good name, a good logo, a good website, where those things do become important. But right here in the beginning, where you're trying to really just make enough so that you don't need your full-time job anymore, those things are not important at all. You don't need a website and a logo and flawless, Christian Bale style business cards to go to a local chamber of commerce meeting and start having conversations with business owners about SEO. In the beginning, landing clients is the most important thing you can do. And I'll be honest with you, the first client is the hardest. Once you get the first client, the second one gets a little bit easier. The third one's a little bit easier. The fourth one's a little bit easier. But that first client, that's the hardest one, okay? And it's going to take the most effort. It's going to take the most discipline and consistency, because prospecting isn't a lot of people's, go-to thing that they want to wake up in the morning and do. But as you get better at it, as you get more used to it, as you embrace being uncomfortable, you're going to be able to build your SEO agency. And once you have money coming in, once you have cash flow, then doing all those other things can start to become more important. learning how to do SEO. In my experience, it's much easier and faster to learn how to do SEO if you're actually doing SEO for a client instead of learning SEO by just reading about it. So I know this sounds backwards, but learning how to do SEO should come second, after you get used to prospecting and landing clients. So my goal in this video is to break down 5 myths that stop people from either getting started in their SEO agency or stop them from successfully growing their SEO agency. These myths are things that I've heard over and over again from the hundreds of people who have joined my own training program. My name is Caleb Alku. I've had an SEO agency for almost 10 years and I built it to over 7 figures. My goal here with this video is to provide you the truth, to give you the confidence to go out there and build your own SEO agency. And I want you to be in a place where you're making an extra $1,000, $5,000, or $10,000 a month working part-time while you still have your full-time job that's covering the bills. I want you to be able to build this agency to a point where you don't need that full-time job anymore, and then you can really focus in on it to grow this to 7 figures. But we've all got to start somewhere. The first myth I'm going to talk about is that you need to know everything there is to know about SEO to get started. You do not need to be an expert to land your first client. In fact, all you need to be able to do is learn enough about SEO so that you can have a conversation about SEO with an absolute complete novice who barely knows what SEO stands for, right? That is your future client. They don't know anything about SEO. They don't know how Google works. They don't know what Google's algorithm is. You just need to learn enough to be able to have a conversation with them about how you're going to manage your SEO engagement, what types of things you're going to do, how you're going to proceed, why you're going to do them, and really, truly just the bare basics about SEO. If you don't know those basics, don't worry, okay? I have a video on this channel that breaks it down in 5 minutes, and that should be everything you need to know to have these conversations with business owners who need SEO. You're going to be able to learn how to do SEO once you get a client and you're doing SEO for them. Learning while doing is so much faster and you'll remember it better than just reading about SEO. One example that I have in this is I used to read a lot about SEO and SEO theory, and I spent a lot of time reading about very esoteric aspects of SEO. One example is the href lang tag. You probably don't know what that is, or maybe you do. It doesn't matter, okay? I read about it, I thought I had a grasp on it, but then I landed a client who actually had a website in multiple languages. That's when you need to use href lang tags. Turns out, I didn't know anything about href lang tags. I had to go back to the beginning and reread and relearn everything. But while I was doing that, I was able to implement href lang tags on this client's website. Now I can confidently say, I know how to implement href lang tags. That was years ago, but I still remember exactly what's necessary and how to do it because I didn't just read about it, I actually learned it, okay? I did it. Related to this, there's studies that actually show people absorb knowledge better and keep it longer when they write that knowledge down instead of just reading about it. So this sort of active learning where you'll read about something and then actually take what you've learned and implement it a much better, faster, more robust way to grow your SEO skills than just sitting and reading and wasting your time. So that's why I say, go get your client first, then learn how to do SEO. Don't spend a bunch of time learning SEO first. Now, I've heard questions about this. There is a worst case scenario. You land a new client for SEO, but you don't actually know how to do SEO. Okay, now this isn't so bad. If you have a paying client, if you have money coming in the door, you're going to be able to fix this problem. You can reach out for help to me, to other people, post in the comments. There's plenty of people who will help you if you have a paying client. Getting that paying client is what's going to be hard. The first client that I landed in SEO, I didn't know anything about SEO. I watched some YouTube videos, I read some blog posts, and I trusted the wrong gurus. So when I did SEO on this very first client's website, I actually got their domain completely de-indexed by Google search. What that means is Google stopped trusting that domain to the point where Google wouldn't show that domain to any of its users. And if Google doesn't show your website to its users, well, you may as well not be on the internet anymore. So this was obviously a disaster. Now, it didn't end up super terrible. The client was able to recover, get re-indexed by explaining to Google what had happened. There's a way to do that with a manual action. Of course, they fired me. But you know what? Before they fired me, they paid me for several months of services. So I was able to take that money and invest in SEO knowledge with sources that were a lot more trustworthy than what I'd been doing. So even that worst case scenario definitely has a happy ending versus trying to learn everything initially. One more quick example I want to give on this. In my agency, we have an incredibly in-depth process for how we do keyword research. It's not something that we do quickly, it takes time, and we are incredibly thorough in analyzing keywords and keyword research. The reason for that is I was once hired by a client to do keyword research, and we did it with the method that we had then and delivered the results of the keyword research to the client. They were incredibly unhappy with it, and we got fired. This was almost 10 years ago. So that wasn't good. After that, what we did, we sat down and we tore up our existing keyword research process and we rewrote it from the beginning to be much more thorough and robust. That is still the current process that we use for keyword research, and we've heard from clients over and over again since we implemented that new process that our keyword research is by far the most thorough they've ever seen. So even in that case, these all have happy endings when we enter an engagement with the client that, maybe we're doing something that we haven't done before, maybe we're a little uncomfortable with it, but at the end of the day, we're going to take that opportunity to learn about it, improve our processes, and maybe we'll have a long-term client who will keep us for a long time. And maybe we won't. But at the end of the day, there are plenty more clients out there, okay? Getting fired by one client is not that big of a deal. View it as a learning experience. The second myth I want to cover, that there's a massive initial investment required to start an SEO agency. I feel like this one comes from the fact that most businesses actually do take a lot of money to get started. But if you're thinking about an SEO agency, in all honesty, your first client is going to cover the majority of your startup costs, right? You don't need to spend money on an office building, overhead, on rent, nothing like that, okay? The cost to get your first client are the only costs you really need to worry about. The cost from when you decide you want to start until you have your first client. Now, those are very, very low. You don't need a website, you don't need business cards, you don't need SEO training courses. Personally, I made a massive mistake. When I first got started, I hired a PR firm to build a website, to come up with a name for my agency, to do a logo. It was over $3,000, and frankly, that was a waste of money. I did not need that then. I probably wouldn't need that now, okay? Most clients don't care about what your website looks like or your logo or your agency name. They really just don't. In fact, my agency name is quite strange. Most people think it's a trucking company. It doesn't matter. It's been my agency name for 10 years. No one really cares. Okay? So instead of worrying about all that, just go start prospecting. The minimum that you need for that is ChatGPT, and you can use the free version. If you decide to step up to the premium version, it's a whopping $20 a month. And you can grab a low-cost email tool, something like Gmass. It's around $10 a month. It integrates with Gmail. You're not going to use that to send thousands of emails a day. That's a terrible way to do email prospecting anyway. This is something where you're going to want to reach out to maybe 5 to 10 business owners a day. That's it. And by reaching out to that few business owners, you're going to be able to customize those emails using a tool like Loom. You might need the premium version of Loom. That's maybe $15 to $20 a month. And of course, you have Upwork. That's how I built my 7-figure agency. And Upwork will cost you $15 a month or so. And there's other methods, of course, posting on Facebook or building out your other social media channels. So really what we're talking about here is maybe $40 or $50 a month. That's really all you need to get started until you land your first client. Now, once you land your first client, you can use the money that you have coming in to start to think about paid SEO tools and other options where you can expand your service offerings. I actually did a whole video where I really just broke down the exact tools that we use at my SEO agency. So you can go ahead and check that out. I'll put a link to it in the description, which tools we pay for, which tools we use that are free, and which tools you should think about. But I tell you, most of them, especially in the beginning, are free or very, very low cost. So the third myth that I want to break down is this, and I don't know where this came from, that SEO takes a long time. Okay, I've talked to people and they've said that, well, I don't want to do SEO because it takes 12 months before I'm going to see results, or 9 months before I'm going to see results. And let me tell you, if you're talking with a prospective client and you tell them that, hey, you're going to have to pay me every month for a year, and after that year, you're going to start to see results, that's going to be a really hard client to sell, okay? So I would not recommend doing that. What we do at my agency is we use a low-hanging fruit method. The goal of that is to find pages on clients' existing websites that are already ranking on the second or third page for a given keyword, okay? Now, my favorite joke in SEO, it's my favorite because it's the only one I know, where's the best place to hide a dead body? The answer, of course, is on the second page of Google search. No one goes to the second page, okay? So what that means is if you find a keyword that your client is ranked number 11 for, number 11, of course, is the first result on the second page, and you move that keyword up 2 or 3 positions to maybe position 9 or 8, okay, their traffic for that keyword is going to go up by a factor of 10, okay? And it's so much faster and easier to move a page from position 11 to position 8 than it is to take a page from position 90 to position 11, okay? And of course, if you take a page from position 90 to 11, they're not gonna get any more traffic because no one goes to the second page anyway. But if they're on position 11, you know that Google already trusts them, that Google already sees it as comprehensive and authoritative for that given keyword. So then all we need to do is just build a little bit more authority, a little bit more trust with Google, and we can push that up a couple of notches and give huge month 1, month 2 results by massively increasing the traffic they're getting for those keywords. You can use third-party SEO tools for this, something like Ahrefs. That's what we used to do before AI came along to help us, ChatGPT. And we don't anymore. Right now, the main way we do this is with a completely free tool, Google Search Console. Okay, all you need to do to use Google Search Console is register any website that you have control over. Obviously, if it's a competition, you're not going to be able to use Google Search Console. Most competitors won't give you access to their Search Console, but your client get access to the Google Search Console, and you can very quickly and easily use Search Console with AI to find pages that they're almost ranking for and optimize around those keywords to give it a little nudge, okay? You can download those CSV files straight from Search Console, give them to ChatGPT 4. You will need the premium version of ChatGPT, but that's $20 a month, and ask ChatGPT to do the analysis for you. It spits out the results, and when you make the changes it recommends, you can see massive traffic increases within a month or 2. Okay, anyone who says SEO takes 9, 12 months or longer, they don't know how to leverage the help of AI to quickly and easily improve their rank position. If you want more information about how to use Google Search Console and ChatGPT, I'm going to put a link to another video where I break down exactly how to do it. I share my screen, I download the CSVs, I do everything so that you can repeat what I'm doing very easily and almost completely free, just the $20 a month charge for ChatGPT. Okay? Okay. The fourth myth, and I hear this one a lot too, more clients means more success. Okay, so let me back up. Let me ask you, would you rather have 10 clients paying you $2,000 a month each, or 100 clients paying you $200 a month each? In either case, you're at the same $20,000 a month revenue. But most people would say they'd rather have 10 clients at $2K per month. A single person can manage 10 clients, but it's really hard to manage a group of 100 clients. If each one of your clients has one question a week, you're dealing with 450 questions a month almost with 100 clients at $200. Beyond that, in my experience, these low-paying clients that are trying to pinch every penny, clients who are trying to negotiate on pricing are awful. They're bad clients, okay? In the 10 years that I've had an SEO agency, every single client who attempted to negotiate pricing, I present them with my different options, my proposal, and they say, "Ooh, this one looks good, but can you give me a discount?" Every time I said yes to land that client, I regretted it very quickly, okay? Any client who has ever tried to negotiate pricing has been a disaster for me. So now we have a very firm policy. We do not negotiate pricing. Our proposals are generally pretty fixed for different clients. We usually give 3 options: the good, better, best method. You've seen this before. Good is the lowest scope of work. They'll see results, but it's the lowest budget. We don't really want them to choose that. Better is the one that we want them to choose. So there's going to be a lot more scope than the good, but the pricing is just going to be a little bit higher. So we have a lower margin on the better option than the good, but it's a higher number. That's the one that we want them to go with. And then we have the best. And we don't really expect anyone to ever choose the best. Since I've been running an agency, we've had a few clients choose best, but it doesn't happen very often. The real reason for best to be there is to anchor high on the pricing, right? The best is really expensive because that makes the better and good pricing seem more reasonable, okay? So if you present this and the client can't afford, doesn't have the budget for the good option, the lowest one, then we can negotiate scope, okay? If the price goes down, the scope goes down. We do not negotiate price and keep the scope the same. We can reduce the scope to reduce the price, to get started maybe even a little bit slower and demonstrate results before growing that engagement, something that we do pretty frequently. And what I talked about, the good, better, best, that fixed scope of work, it's much easier and faster if you set a fixed scope of work and then offer that to every single client, okay? Ideally, you're gonna wanna make it seem like you customized that proposal just for them, but at the end of the day, SEO is SEO is SEO. It's the same exact process, same exact methods for every single client, for every single industry, okay? If the budget is 10 times higher, then it's the exact same stuff. We're just gonna do 10 times more of it, or maybe 15 times more of it, depending on how our margins adjust as the pricing goes up or down. But having these fixed scope offers allows you to put a proposal together in just a few minutes and send it off to a client, rather than spending hours and hours customizing a proposal for every single client, okay? We used to do that years ago. We used to send custom proposals, and our close rate was, if anything, lower than it is today. And instead of 5 or 10 minutes doing a proposal, we used to spend hours. So a massive time savings to just choose a fixed scope of work and present it to everyone, okay? Just, edit a few words here and there to make it seem customized to their industry, to their space. Very, very few clients will actually need a completely custom proposal. And don't forget, if they try to negotiate that price, don't be tempted, just walk away. I've said this before, there are plenty of other clients waiting who need SEO services. Don't treat your prospect like they're the prettiest girl in the room, okay? Just walk away. Your best clients are very, very busy. Remember what I said before, that SEO is not so complicated that a business owner is incapable of doing it. Instead, your business owners are too busy running their business, okay? And if that's not the case, if they're not so busy running their own business, then they're not gonna be as successful. They're not gonna have the budget, they're not gonna be able to grow with you as well. Busy clients are successful. Busy clients don't have the time to nitpick and watch over your shoulder and penny pinch, okay? They just want you to do a good job, to demonstrate results, and they want to send you a check every month so that you keep doing that, okay? They're not worried about the exact details on what and why exactly what you're doing. They're not going to second guess you. They just don't have time for that. Those are the clients that you want. All right, the last myth that I want to cover here is about SEO fulfillment. I've heard from a lot of people that they don't want to start an SEO agency because the fulfillment is going to take up all of their time. Okay, and that could not be further from the truth. Recent advances in AI have made SEO much faster and much easier to implement than it was even just a few years ago. The flip side of that, of course, is most of your competitors are also going to be using AI. SEO is zero sum. So what that means when I say SEO is zero sum, if your client's traffic goes up, then someone else's traffic is going down. So when you gain in SEO, when you make gains, someone is losing. That's what it means by zero sum. So if your competition is using AI and you're not, if you're not embracing these new tools, you're going to be left behind. And any competitors who are embracing these new AI tools, they're also going to be left behind. So very quickly, we're going to find ourselves in a place where all SEO agencies are leveraging AI in order to do SEO easier, faster, and build rank position and grow traffic. Okay. Now, at the same time, building a relationship with your clients does take time. This is something that you're not really going to be able to outsource or automate until you get to a point where you're bringing on board client managers. That's when you're, multiple 5 figures a month. Until you get there, you're probably going to be managing most of your client relationships yourself. And like I said, that does take time, but not a huge amount of time. Okay, this is something that you can do in, an hour or two every month, answer their questions over email, over text, have a scheduled phone call with them once a month. And one good trick that I use, if they email me in the middle of the month and ask for a random phone call, then I will say, no problem, I'm booked up for the next few days, but let's schedule something next week. Or go ahead and write back with your question and maybe we can deal with this over email. In my experience, hopping on the phone with a client rarely takes less than an hour, but I can answer their question over email in just a few minutes. And we can talk about it further at the planned monthly meeting, okay? So don't feel like you need to hop on the phone every time they ask. Okay, executing the SEO strategy, that takes monthly planning, okay? Something you have to do every month, but you only have to do it once every month. So the way we do it in my agency is once a month, at the beginning of the month, we sit down and we look at all of our clients and we look at where they are and we decide on the targets. What pages are we going to touch? What things are we going to optimize? What keywords do we want to improve rank for? We decide those targets, then we decide scope. How much content are we going to do? How many links are we going to source? What are we going to do with the internal links? All of this, we're going to decide this and send all of that off to the team and they start executing. They have detailed guides on exactly how to do all of that. All they need to know is the targets and they'll be good to go. In the beginning, I did this myself. I did everything myself, and I would strongly encourage you to do the same. Don't outsource too early, okay? Do it yourself. That's the best way to actually learn. And while you're doing that, I want you to track everything you do, step by step, very, very detailed, every exact little thing that you do. And the reason for that is the foundation, going to be the foundation for your internal training. That's exactly what I did. When I was doing those SEO tasks, I would track exactly what I needed to do in Excel. Each row would be a step, and I would have the title of that step, a short description, and then a link to a video of me doing that step. Each step was limited to 30 to 45 seconds. If the video is longer than that, if it's a 5 or 10 minute video, then you need to break it up into smaller steps. Something super easy and straightforward to follow. So now that Excel sheet, of course it also has any login information, it has ChatGPT prompts, all of the necessary information is in there. So anytime someone joins my agency and they know nothing about SEO, then I can give them those Excel sheets and they can do high-level SEO tasks, keyword research, manual walkthroughs, content gap analysis. They can do all of this almost straight from the get-go because of how in-depth and thorough that training is. Everyone who joins my SEO training program, I of course give them a copy of all of my internal training. And that could be a head start for you, but honestly, you don't need it, especially in the beginning because you're going to want to do it yourself anyway. And you can create your own internal training so that when people join your team, they do SEO the way you want them to do SEO. Don't hire SEO experts. Hire people who are familiar with the English language something like newspaper editors are an excellent choice, and then train them to do SEO. The biggest challenge that I faced in building my SEO agency was consistently landing clients. A successful SEO agency, going from 0 to having a 7-figure agency, it's really more about overcoming fear and doubt. Just start talking to potential clients about SEO. Most of the clients for my agency came from Upwork. And I have a lot of resources on this channel about how to get started on Upwork, how to land clients on Upwork. But beyond Upwork, there's also simply asking for referrals. Obviously that doesn't work if you haven't landed your first client yet. But as you gain more and more happy clients, simply asking them for referrals is a massive source of new business. And cold email, another way that my agency was able to change. And like I said, cold email does not mean sending thousands and thousands of emails a day. It's sending a handful of emails a day, customized messages, video recordings with Loom, where you walk through the client's website and point out things that you would do differently. Okay, it takes a little bit more time, 2 or 3 minutes per email, not more than that, but the response rate is much, much greater. Okay, and it's worth having that investment. Plus, there's a lot of new requirements around mass sending of emails, especially to a cold audience. Don't start doing that unless you're super familiar with the laws and regulations. I don't want you to get in trouble from that. Essentially, I built my 7-figure SEO agency by sending proposals on Upwork. And hundreds of people have gone through my training program, and they built their own 6-figure agencies through a combination of Upwork and cold email and asking for referrals. A 6-figure agency is $8,300 per month. If your average client is paying you $1,500 a month, that's really only 5 or 6 clients, and you'll be at 6 figures, okay? So I just want to give a few quick examples of people who were very new at SEO, didn't know very much about SEO at all, and they started prospecting, they started trying to land clients. So my first example here is Shelby. Here's Shelby. She landed 2 clients in 1 day. This was less than a month after she started to get serious about trying to grow her agency. And those 2 clients were worth well over $1,500. Another example, here's Dylan. He was also just a few months into getting really serious about starting his own agency, and he landed a $20,000 a month contract with a brand new client. And here he is just wrapping up that contract. Absolutely incredible. We also have Chuck here, and he landed a client for $1,800 per month. So here's the message. Don't worry about these myths. Don't worry about all the things that you need to do before you start, okay? Instead, just go start prospecting. Like right now, go start prospecting right now. If you don't know what to do, if you don't know how to prospect, check out some of the other videos on this channel. I'll break it down for you. And once you have clients, once you have money coming in, all of these other challenges become much easier to solve. Cash flow helps you solve problems. And in the future, I will be publishing more and more content about how to do prospecting, both Upwork and other methods. So make sure you don't miss those. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications. But really, none of those 5 myths should stop you. None of them should slow you down. They're all traps that you've been taught to believe that just aren't true. Go build your agency by just getting started prospecting, okay? And like I said, if you don't know what SEO stands for, please check out my Introduction to SEO video. It's on this channel, it's 5 minutes long, and it will give you all the information you need to start having conversations with prospects. Everything stopping you from doing this is just an excuse because you know it's going to be uncomfortable. But if it were easy, if it were fast, and if it were painless, then everyone would have an SEO agency. Instead, it takes discipline and consistency. It's not hard. And I know that if you're watching this video, you aren't everyone. Most people would be terrified of the prospect of starting their own business. But that's not you because you're here. So I need you to embrace that discomfort. I need you to embrace that discipline and consistency to make this happen. I'm telling you, if you start prospecting right now today, you can have a 6-figure agency in 3 months, even if you don't know anything about SEO right now. If you thought this video was valuable, don't forget to subscribe for more insights on building an SEO agency. Leave me a comment below if one of these myths has been in your way. And don't forget to give me a like.